The Manhattan Project was a United States government project that created the first atomic bombs. When the U.S. entered into World War II, the War Department wanted to make the project because they knew the German scientists were working on a very similar project to make atomic bombs. And the British were exploring the same problem. The bombs were made out of uranium-235. They used 3 different processes: the electromagnetic process, the diffusion process, and the thermal diffusion process. Only one method worked, and that method was developed at the Metallurgical Laboratory of the University of Chicago under the direction of Arthur Holly Compton. In December 1942, Fermi finally decided in producing and controlling a fission chain reaction in this reactor pile at Chicago. By 1945, there was enough plutonium-239 sufficient to produce a nuclear explosion. The first atomic bomb was exploded at 5:30 a.m. on July 16, 1945, at Albuquerque, New Mexico. The following month, 2 other bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. American physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer headed the project to develop the atomic bomb, and Edward Teller was among the first recruited for the project. Although many physicists were opposed to the actual use of the bomb, Harry S. Truman believed that the bomb would persuade Japan to surrender without requiring an American invasion, and on August 6, 1945, they dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, killing at least 70,000 people.
The Manhattan Project was designed as a top-secret scientific mission of the United States with the goal of creating the world's first nuclear weapon in order to bring World War II to an end.
The United States' failure to keep this a secret creates the nuclear arms race and the Cold War tensions that last for decades following World War II.
The Manhattan Project connects to the theme Frontiers in History, People, Places, Ideas, because when the U.S. entered into World War II, the War Department wanted to make the project because they knew the German scientists were working on a very similar project to make atomic bombs, and the British were exploring the same problem. The bombs were made out of uranium-235. They used 3 different processes: the electromagnetic process, the diffusion process, and the thermal diffusion process.
That shows one of the reasons that the Manhattan Project relates to the theme is the bombs changed how research was done to create weapons forever. The other way that the Manhattan Project relates to the theme is the first atomic bomb was exploded at 5:30 a.m. on July 16, 1945 at Albuquerque, New Mexico. The following month, another bomb was dropped in Nagasaki, Japan. American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer headed the project to develop the atomic bomb, and Edward Teller was among the first recruited for the project.
Although many physicists were opposed to the actual use of the atomic bomb, Harry S. Truman believed that the bomb would persuade Japan to surrender without requiring an American invasion. And on August 6, 1945, they dropped a bomb on Hiroshima, killing at least 70,000 people. The fact that they did cause such havoc to Hiroshima made other countries interested, which caused the nuclear arms race. So the Manhattan Project was a frontier because it changed weapons forever and made the first atomic bomb.
The Manhattan Project relates to Chicago because the main research projects for the bomb were conducted at the University of Chicago.
The Soviet-supported Communist government of North Korea invaded the U.S., supported South Korea in 1950, setting off an indecisive Korean War that lasted until 1953.
This shows that it was a mistake by the United States government to tell the public and other countries about the atomic bomb because it started the Cold War and the nuclear arms race.
The spies ended up finding tons of information about the project. All of those things played their part in the act of ruining the Manhattan Project. After more information was found, other countries tried to conduct their own versions of the project, causing a Cold War to begin. Since September 1943, investigations were conducted on more than 1,500 loose talk or leakage of information cases, and corrective action was taken in more than 1,200 violations of procedures for handling classified material, the history said. Upon discovery of the source of a violation of regulations for safeguarding military information, the violator, if a project employee, was usually reprimanded, informed of the possible application of the Espionage Act, and warned not to repeat the violation.
Those two direct quotes show how the Manhattan Project was dogged by leaks. The leaks were conducted by other countries from the war. Those countries sent spies to go and find information about what different materials the U.S. were using to make the bombs. When the spies found the information, they would bring what they found back to their countries. Their country would then conduct their own version of the Manhattan Project so that they could make bombs of their own to counter the U.S.'s attacks.
Other ways the information about the project spread is some of the scientists would have loose talk that gave out information that was not supposed to be public. The word would be spread, causing the countries to want to try and make a bomb of their own, causing the Manhattan Project to almost become counterproductive because it was just helping the other countries.
In conclusion, the Manhattan Project was a war project to make the first atomic bombs. The project was conducted at the University of Chicago, and they tried 3 different processes, but only one process worked. The scientists then produced the uranium-235 to make the bombs. When they were making the bombs, other countries that the U.S. were at war with tried to steal information about the bombs. They sent in many different spies that were supposed to steal information.
The countries ended up doing 1,500 leaks, 200 acts of sabotage, and 100 confirmed cases of espionage. The leaks happened because some of the scientists would have small talk with outsiders. When they would have their small talk, it would end up giving away important information about how the U.S. were conducting the project. The spies from the other countries then brought their information back to their own army so that they could conduct their own version of the project so that they could counter the U.S.'s attacks.
When the other countries found out how to make the bombs, it became a big war of who could produce the bomb first. While all the countries were trying to be the first to produce their bombs, spies were still trying to find more information to make better bombs. When the U.S. produced their first bomb, they dropped it on Hiroshima and caused the Cold War tensions to begin lasting decades after World War II.